Hi everyone, this is Linda and this is my cultural meal project. So the meal I chose is called Arroz a la Valenciana. Let me allow you to take your taste buds to Central America with this easy rice meal. Nicaraguan Arroz a la Valenciana features savory cooked rice graced with carrots, peas, bell peppers, and a boatload of meaty goodness from chicken breast, diced ham, and pork sausages. This recipe is a fantastic dish that mirrors the rich culture of my beautiful Nicaragua. It can be served on regular weeknights or on special occasions. So here's Nicaragua in the world map. It is a tropical Central American country full of natural diversity. There are many types of cuisine from the Pacific to the Atlantic coast. However, I chose arroz a la valenciana because it is a favorite dish all across the country. So I will be covering different aspects, different details about this dish. So, the history of the dish, the ingredients utilized, the recipe, cultural, social, economic, and psychological factors that influence its consumption. Then I will cover some nutritional facts and resources that I will utilize to conduct nutritional counseling for a patient belonging to this ethnic group or someone who just enjoys to consume this dish. So, first, its origin. It is worth noting that Nicaragua became an independent country from Spain and Britain by 1838. Therefore, Nicaragua's cuisine it has a combination of culinary roots from indigenous Native Americans, Spaniards, and West Africans. Arroz a la valenciana is prepared on a stovetop, and it dates back to colonial times as it is found in Latin American cuisine, and its roots date back to the 19th century in Spain among the peasants of Valencia's orchards. There is no hard rule on what goes into this recipe. However, this Valencian's Nicaraguan style rice recipe is more like the cousin of Spanish paella. Now let's talk about the ingredients, which are made up by kitchen staples. So as you can see here, I detailed it to make 6 servings. So you have chicken breast, white rice, carrots, peas, butter, sugar, pork sausages, ham, white onion, garlic, red bell peppers, tomatoes, white wine, um, Worcestershire sauce, tomato paste, salt and pepper, chicken broth, and chopped cilantro. And this is a breakdown of the nutritional value of the ingredients. So for one portion, you can see it's 646 calories, 30 grams of protein, 61 grams of carbohydrates, 29 grams of fat, which is more divided into 2 grams of polysaturated fats, 10 grams of monosaturated fats, 14 grams of saturated fats, and 1 gram of trans fat. 108 milligrams of cholesterol, 860 milligrams of potassium, 5,020 units of vitamin A, 49 milligrams of vitamin C, 2 milligrams of iron, 1,526 milligrams of sodium, 6 grams of sugar, 64 milligrams of calcium, and 3 grams of fiber. Now for the recipe, here are the steps. So, to start, cook and shred chicken breast, or you could use rotisserie chicken to make it easier. You can pre-cook carrots and peas, and then on a separate saucepan, throw in the meat and cook until it is golden brown. Set it aside and cook the veggies with the seasonings and the rice together. Now you're gonna pour over the chicken broth and cook the rice until it's soft. After that, you add the meat back with the carrots and the peas and you mix it all together, and you garnish with chopped cilantro and enjoy. Now here is a more detailed recipe. I guarantee that you will want to try this for yourself. So here you can go ahead and take a picture. Now, I would like to cover influencing factors that are involved in the consumption of arroz a la valenciana. So the first one is cultural and social factors. So it's been passed down from generations. It's been eaten by my grandparents or their grandparents and their grandparents' grandparents. It remains a staple because it is associated with family time, spending time together. Also, you can ever go wrong with it. It is very easy to make. It could be eaten on regular nights or on special occasions. Very common in kids' birthday parties, quinceañeras, and weddings. There are psychological factors to consider too. Arroz a la Valenciana has a very welcoming nature. It has vibrant colors that are very familiar to Nicaraguans, exquisite flavors, and a lot of textures. So it's guaranteed to be enjoyed by people of all ages. It is a feel-good meal. It is a go-to meal that many associate with good times that are filled with happiness and comfort. So you are guaranteed that it is going to taste good and that you're going to be satisfied. There's also economic factors that influence the way people eat it. So it is a very versatile recipe. You can make it plant-based. You can use different types of rice. You can use different types of chicken meat, so different parts of chicken, and also different parts of types of sausages. It is very cost-friendly. So the ingredients are very common and easily accessible. They are fairly cheap, and it is very filling and nutritious. It can also be eaten at breakfast, lunch, or dinner time. There is not really a rule, so it's very convenient. Now I would like to discuss some of the nutritional pros and cons associated with this meal when it is found in a typical diet of a healthy person. Some of the pros are that it contains essential nutrients such as macronutrients, vitamins, and minerals, complex carbohydrates such as grains and veggies. It has plant-based and animal-based proteins, fiber from vegetables and possible whole grain rice. The serving size is not as large, yet it's very filling. Now the cons or things to consider would be that it has a high carbohydrate content, high fat content, and it uses processed meats, and also has a high sodium content. However, just because these things may sound as negative, it's important to remember that ultimately no food is good or bad. And it is all about partaking in a diet that has nutritional variety and adequacy where moderation is employed. So here's a diagram for that concept of BAM, where we can see varieties about selecting a wide variety of food to ensure that we get appropriate nutrient intakes. Adequacy has to do with acquiring the sufficient amount of foods to meet caloric and nutritional needs. And we want to make sure we eat those in moderation to avoid excess calories and to also reduce our risk of getting any chronic diseases. So I would like to now present you with some counseling, nutritional tips, and resources I would provide my patient from this ethnic group to help them achieve this healthy balance. So some of the examples are myplate.gov. It provides patients with sample meal plans, interactive eating habit trackers, daily recommendations for each food group. For example, they break it down into veggies, vegetables, fruits, dairy, protein, oil, and sodium. Also, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the U.S. Department of Agriculture has a dietary reference intake guide, or DRI, where they also break it down into how important it is to obtain a variety of vegetables, whole fruits, whole grains, fat-free or low-fat dairy, plant and animal proteins in our diet, and also some oils. They recommend to limit saturated and trans fats, sugars, and sodium, and to also focus on variety, nutrient density, and the amounts. They break down the percentages of macronutrients that are recommended per total calories. We can see on the upper right side, so fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Also, the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society have our daily recommendation, which also focuses on plant foods, limiting processed and red meats, and has more of a breakdown about how many fruits and veggies to consume per day, recommending fiber-rich whole grains, fat-free and low-fat dairy again, and also limiting your sodium and sugar intake. So these are some resources that I would present a person from this ethnic group so that they're able to find a very adequate dietary consumption. So let's wrap it up. I covered the history of this dish, the ingredients, the recipe, factors that influence the consumption of it, some nutritional facts. We discussed the pros and the cons, and how to ultimately make this, incorporate this into a healthy diet. So there are some nutritional counseling tips that I would provide a patient with. So that was my presentation. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I hope that you have learned something new today.